want to get to the Seahawks Eagles game, and I'm bringing up on the screen the map now for everyone. And this is right around game time, right before game time for the Philly game. So, Nick, why don't we walk through what we're seeing here on this system?
Yeah, so this is a developing system. If you go back a couple time steps, Colin.
Gotta be ugly.
And just zoom out a little bit if you can. Yep. Yeah, go back like one or two more. Okay, that's good. Yep. So again, this is about, this is the last map we just showed you. We have this low pressure system sort of over Alabama, Mississippi, Florida. If we move forward a couple steps now, you'll see this system start to move north and east. And as it does, it strengthens once it rides up the Appalachians, or the Appalachians if you're from West Virginia.
Well, you got to get the term right as you're making ribs this weekend.
So this is going to be another interesting timing question for this game. The game's Monday night, but I do think that this is going to be a very impacted game in terms of rain. I think it seems very likely that the models will come into consensus with this system, so they'll all start to show a similar forecast. And I think that the rain will be there during game time. So if you pull up, we have plumes for this event too.
Yep, I'm just kidding.
And here, you'll notice, again, this is the European model. Each one of these blue lines is an individual forecast.
This looks a lot more concise for the rain.
Exactly. So I've got on the y-axis again on the left there, I've marked the half-inch and the 1-inch lines. Again, those are 6-hour totals, so divide by 2 to get the 3-hour forecast over the length of a game. So we have now, the game will be 0Z Tuesday morning, so it's right in the center of that circle. There's a thick, bold line on the x-axis. That's game time. We are seeing from the bulk of the ensemble members precipitation accumulating right at game time. Now, you see some blue lines to the left of that, which means that some of the forecasts are having the system move a little bit faster, and you see a few to the right of it, which means that some have it going a little bit slower. This is perfectly normal when we're this far away from a forecast. We really expect to see this variation in timing, but the important part is almost all of the ensemble members are hovering around the 3/4 of an inch of precipitation over a 3-hour period. And I'm fairly confident that throughout at least half of this game, we're going to see a decent amount of rainfall. And the question becomes player footing. Again, like we saw in Cleveland, can the quarterbacks hold onto the ball, deliver accurate passes, things like that? I'm expecting that our weather table will start to show this as a caution or extreme event, perhaps, probably Thursday night or Friday morning. The National Weather Service will start to have a little bit more confidence in forecasting this event. But my call for this one is expect rain, expect a good amount of it throughout a decent part of the game, and expect the over and under to start trending lower as people start pricing in the weather for this one.
Nick, it's like we planned our conversation. I was going to say, Nick, what do you think the weather impacts are going to have on the over-under currently at 50 points?
Yeah. So I'm a little bit more bullish on this one than maybe some of the other people out there. But I think that there's a very good chance we're going to have a rain event on our hands for Seattle at Philadelphia.
At the 50, take the under. Now, Sean, not to leave you out of this conversation, I want you to run down some stats. And I'm going to bring up for the viewers our analytics on Russell Wilson in rain events. And why don't you explain what we were talking about, that he's kind of pretty steadfast in the rain.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because we just talked about Carson Wentz and Baker Mayfield and how they didn't really perform in their rain event. But this also really lends itself to, we have general, information and statistics that we give per position, but we also need to sometimes really look at this from a player specific perspective. And that goes for Russell Wilson. Now, Russell Wilson in the rain, and we're talking 0.1 inches, so this isn't just like it just sprinkled a little bit. This is, at least for part of the game, it was coming down. And what his stats tell us is that he actually performs statistically better during rain games. And I think that's partially because whatever he may lack in the passing game, maybe he's not completing quite as many passes. I think he trusts his legs and he's able to make it up through his running game as well. So, I mean, he only has 5 games. So let's also keep in mind that this isn't the largest sample size here. But we see during these 5 games, he's actually outperformed his average, like playing in like a dome or where there's no weather. He actually plays better when he's in the rain. Now, remember, he has a couple really good receivers too. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, who have just been just doing crazy things out in the field this year. They've been amazing. If you have him in fantasy, that's awesome. I have no stocks of Tyler Lockett or DK Metcalf, and I'm really upset about it. But I think they do really good things against this Cleveland defense. Now, if you're looking at Cleveland's defense, I'm sorry, the Eagles defense. I screwed you up. And you're looking at their No. Yeah, see, now you got the Eagles and Cleveland mixed up for me. Yeah. But now if you look at the Eagles defense, you'll actually see that they give up one of the lowest TD percentages in the league and the lowest number of passing yards. But then you also have to put this in context of who have they been playing? What division are they in? They're playing Daniel Jones and the Giants. They're playing against a rotating, QB in Washington. They're playing against, the Dallas Cowboys, and who knows who's in there, just playing with injury-riddled players. So, I don't think those stats are really representative of the defense that they truly are. And now you're going against a offensive juggernaut in Seattle. Russell Wilson has proven that he can play in these conditions, even play a little bit better in those conditions. I think big things for Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf here. I have no problem there. Now, on the other side of the ball, Carson Wentz, I wouldn't be surprised if he turns the ball over a couple times in this one. But if you have some of the tight ends now, Zach Ertz is coming back. That's the news that we have. He's trending to come back. He's trending to play. I'm going to take that. I think they're going to try to get him in that lineup. Now, I think Zach Ertz, and I think especially Goddard here, especially if Zach Ertz doesn't play, but we're thinking he does. Goddard and Ertz are really good plays this week because we saw Wentz rely on those targets in both the red zone and just to complete passes and move the ball downfield. He was going to his tight ends, and that could be very similar here. Now, Seattle's also not the best defense, pass defense. This has been a notorious thing for them this year. They've been giving up big plays. They got a little bit better. They only gave up around 265 yards last week, but I wouldn't be surprised here if you have a Jalen Reagor maybe kind of go off here, if you have big games from your tight ends. So I'm not necessarily trending away from all Philly players. And I also think Miles Sanders has an opportunity here as well. I mean, he's a locked and loaded RB1 when he's healthy. So I think, even though it's raining here, I do think the offensive weapons could still click, especially if you're talking about the tight ends in Philly and then the wide receivers for Seattle.
So
I'm sorry, Seattle. Yep.
Yeah, you were right. You're right. Also,
you got me all nervous.
I know, it's okay.